Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Those Two Comic Book Guys. I am your host, Andy, aka the Super Guy. Sitting next to me is my best friend and co-host, Corey.
How's it going, guys?
Thank you, everyone who listened to the first episode. It was more successful than we thought it would be. Thank you for listening, and thanks for coming back. And I promise it only gets better from here, probably. Just bear with us. Anyway, we're just going to jump right into a topic. Last week we talked about sort of comic book movie news. We discussed Deadpool and Gambit, but I think this week we kind of wanted to discuss more a topic. So we thought, how about our controversial opinions about comic book movies? Meaning, comic book movies that we like that other people hate, or comic book movies that we hate that everyone else loves. So, you got one?
Okay, starting off, I guess we'll go Spider-Man 3.
For like?
For like. I mean, there's a lot of problems with this film, like, obviously, but overall, it's a pretty, like, there's some pretty good moments in the movie. Like, if you extract a lot of that from, like, the Venom stuff, like, it could be a pretty good movie.
It doesn't matter what villain you take out of it. You take them out of it, it's better. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether you take out Sandman or New Goblin or Venom. It's automatically a better movie. It was just... And I know everybody always says stuff like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was obviously crammed. People say, oh, that was the reason it sucked. That's a main reason why it sucked. But there were a lot of other little reasons why it sucked, too. But if you took... The real reason why this movie did not do so well is because it was too crammed. Like, there was no room for breathing. I think Venom should have been saved for Part 4. Just not done at all. It's not Sam Raimi. Venom's not Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi really loves the 60s stuff. Like, it does not fit at all with the tone of the other things.
Yeah, do Vulture. Do Mysterio. Do
Mysterio is who I really want to see soon.
I would have loved to have seen, Mysterio. I would have loved to have seen his lizard, you know?
Not the weird Hulk thing, whatever.
Yeah, not that weird crap we got.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic, but Spider-Man 3 is one of those things where it's clearly studio intervention. Like, it's not Sam Raimi's fault. It's not Tobey Maguire's fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's clearly, like, Avi Arad's fault, the producer. Like, they wanted him to do Venom because they wanted toys.
Yeah. It's just a whole conflicting pot of ideas. There's, it wasn't Sam Raimi. He wanted to do Sandman, right?
Yeah, Sam Raimi wanted to do Sandman, which is perfect for Sam Raimi, because that's a 60s villain.
And the whole series was already leading up to New Goblin, so let's just say Green Goblin, Goblin 2, New Goblin. I think New Goblin was only given as a name for the toy line, so I don't think it's fair to judge the movie based off that either. But, and plus, it was, and then fans wanted Venom, which that's a good example of where fan expectations with the fan what's the right word for that? Like the fan get together and the fan support. Yeah, support. Why can't I think of that word? But it just turns out badly.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Sort of like how fans wanted the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, and then we got it, and we're like, oh, maybe we should have just asked for, like, Mickey Rourke back or something. But no.
Mickey Rourke and his bird.
Yeah, I want my bird. But, Spider-Man 3 is one of those things where it's not that bad when you watch it, though. It's a pretty entertaining movie. Granted, the emo Peter Parker and the dancing is not good, and Gwen Stacy should never have been in that movie, because...
she serves no purpose.
The thing is, Spider-Man 1 and 2 are Peter Parker stories. You know, like they're more the story is more about Peter Parker's life and how it affects his life as Spider-Man. And Spider-Man 3 should have been a more Spider-Man focused movie as opposed to Peter Parker. Because once you bring the black suit in there, like, you've got an alien symbiote that's causing you to, like, nearly beat people to death. You don't have time for relationship drama. Like, we have more important things to worry about. Like the fact that there's an alien that's taken over Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Or the fact that they can just say, oh, aliens. Let's not question it.
First off, that thing should have been taken inspiration from the Ultimate Universe. That should have been created in a lab and then let loose. Because it just it just shows up like the Blob. It just shows up in a meteor and then like attaches itself to the first person it finds. You know?
Yeah, it is very like 50s of them to just be like, whatever.
Yeah,
there we are.
It doesn't even matter. Well, that's one of those things where I can't remember who made this joke. It might have been Kevin Smith, where he said that movie is like Sam Raimi trying to get fired. I think Sam Raimi was trying to sabotage it because I think he even admitted he hates that movie.
Yeah, he does.
It does seem like he was trying to sabotage it because it's just a weird movie where you go, they so could have done better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it has a lot of potential, and then it's just
and then it just sort of meanders on till it's over. Until I think Spider-Man 4 is one of the biggest missed opportunities in movie history because you get like John Malkovich as the Vulture, you know. You get what was it, Dylan Baker as the Lizard.
Was it going to be the Lizard in that?
Yeah, that's what they wanted.
Oh, wow.
They wanted Lizard or Vulture. And you get those two in there. You write a really solid script like Spider-Man 2. It doesn't have to be as good as Spider-Man 2, but maybe in between 1 and 2. The first movie and the second movie. And you'd get like a freaking awesome movie. You know what I mean? Like, that would be amazing. It'd certainly be better than The Amazing Spider-Man, which is just this studio pumped out crap.
Yeah, it's just...
I don't know. Here's the thing. If they kept making those movies with Sam Raimi, we would have kept getting awesome Spider-Man movies, and we never would have seen Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But because we got those 2 lame-ass reboots, they decided to work with Marvel. So,
you know, this really sounds like the Batman and Robin justification.
For Batman Begins?
Yeah.
That's true, but, you know, what else can you make out of this?
Yeah, you always got to be a little optimistic.
So I have a movie that I personally like, love even, and everybody else pretty much just despises it. As the opinions have kind of softened over the years, but people still really don't like it. Daredevil. That's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it since it came out around the time, but yeah, it's not. I think it's better with age.
It's one of those ones...
Like you look back at it and you're like, oh, I can forgive this, but at the time, if you watch it, like, I can't forgive this. What is this?
It's not that bad. It adapted the comics. Hey, I'll give it it looked like a Frank Miller Daredevil comic. It really did.
Yeah, I think that might be some of the problem, because it kind of looks like Sin City in color a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, and like that's supposed to be kind of cheesily stylistic.
I think this has the same problem as Spider-Man 3, where they spent too much time on the relationship drama and they also crammed too many villains in there. Because...
yeah, there's Kingpin, there's Bullseye.
There's Elektra, who can count as a villain.
Yeah.
And she's an antagonist.
She's a Black Cat or your Catwoman or whatever.
Yeah, or sort of the Punisher when he first started. It's those ones where it's like, yeah, they're a good guy, but they're also kind of... they can be a villain if they need to be. So it's one of those things where it's fine. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of fun to it. It's pretty cheesy in some parts, but that just adds to the fun of it. I don't really think it's that bad, and I don't think it deserves to go down with, like, Spawn as, you know, in that same category as Spawn. Because if you watch Spawn, that's, like, an embarrassing... that's an embarrassing mess, man. Like, that's one of the worst comic book movies
Yeah,
ever.
You know... I wish we can take a time machine and go to the 90s and tell everybody not to do CGI unless you're Steven Spielberg.
That would be amazing. Well, also, Spawn, is pretty much infamous for that CGI cape. It looks atrocious. I'm just glad that we got, I think it was 3 seasons of the HBO show. So.
That's spawned out of that. I'm sorry. Spawned out of that.
Don't speak anymore if you're going to make puns like that.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. The HBO show is fantastic. Todd McFarlane really needs to get on that Spawn the animation and Spawn reboot.
Yeah,
that's
both things that
happen.
Lazy Todd McFarlane's never gonna get to.
I wouldn't necessarily say lazy. He's got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
To be fair, he is dragging his feet a lot. He's dragging his feet a lot on this stuff. Although I think he posted a Facebook picture or video of him where he rented out an office that's completely empty except for a laptop with no Wi-Fi, and he says he's just gonna write a Spawn movie. He just goes in there and writes it.
So he's actually committed now? That's cool.
Yeah, I want to see Spawn the animation. I want to see the reboot that's R-rated.
Wait, is the same with the Spawn animation too? Didn't they release a picture, some artwork from that already?
Yeah, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's getting off the ground, but at the same time, I don't know if it's just him like doodling on a napkin or something. Like
it's such a great concept, and it's so sad that it's sort of lost in this comic book movie wave, and
there's only so much you can do with Spawn, but
you could do a movie and then maybe a sequel.
Yeah, it seems like another. What's a good example of that? Like a Hellboy type situation. Although I want to see more Hellboy, which will never happen because Guillermo del Toro always has his mind on like 7 different projects, and he has to drop.
Hey,
6 of them.
We're getting Pacific Rim too, so I'm not going to complain.
I'm not even sure if that's going to happen, but it probably will.
I would like to see it happen. I mean, obviously, he said it's going to happen. But, yeah, we got really far off topic. I don't know how we got to Spawn. I'm going to move on. The 2003 Hulk, that's pretty good. That's a pretty entertaining movie. Everybody hates on that movie. But if you look back on it, it's an interesting experiment.
Yeah, although... for better or worse in some places, like the weird comic book panels that you just talk about how bad they are for however long you want. Wow, that's weird.
That was pretty weird, but I think it's a mature comic book movie, but it's also like goofy as anything.
Yeah, because I remember I watched it as a kid, and I didn't really think it was like dark. I thought it was dark, but I didn't think it was like it was something I shouldn't be watching.
Yeah, comic book movies back then were pretty much for everybody.
Yeah,
unless it was like the Punisher.
Then,
like I'd let a 10-year-old watch I'd let an 8-year-old watch the Punisher. Like it's not gonna hurt him. It's like it's so goofy. There's no way he could ever get involved in it. But that's a whole nother topic. But the Hulk it's fine. The thing is, you come out of that movie and you go, what did I just watch? Like, you watched a Hulk movie, but you don't know the actual plot to it. Like, Nick Nolte's kind of insane, and, General Ross really wants to catch the Hulk, and that's about all that you remember from it.
And that weird scene at the end where Nick Nolte's overacting his ass off.
Yeah, and he bites like an electrical cable, because he's supposed to be the absorbing man. But they don't even, they have that little scene where he's getting his powers and he kills the security guard. But there's nothing in this movie that tells you that there's going to be a villain.
Yeah, because I remember when I was a kid watching it, there was a few things I never picked up on, but, when the ending came and it was just, him and his dad fighting, I guess he's a bad guy now. Whatever. Yeah,
it's one of those things where I would have loved to have seen a sequel. I mean, I love The Incredible Hulk. I think it's a great movie. But I would have loved to have seen, Hulk 2. With Eric Bana. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been really interesting to see. It's one of the... obviously it'll never happen. I think Eric Bana was a great Bruce Banner, though. And, it was an interesting try. It was a good old effort. You watch that movie and you go, okay, everyone was giving their all here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really weird to see such an artsy director like Ang Lee trying something like this out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you go, well, this could have worked in your mind, but it never would have worked on the screen. It's sort of like Superman Returns.